Welcome. This is the SoulFull Family Show, addressing modern-day family dynamics from unique perspectives with your host, intuitive visionary, Cheryl Andrea. Her gifts have helped her overcome and understand the human experience, which gives her the ability to connect with others and assist in awakening a new generation. But her proudest accomplishment? Raising two boys in unique, unconventional ways that defy traditions and smash limiting beliefs. The SoulFull family assists you on your journey as you develop deeper, healthier, and empowering connections with your loved ones. Tune in every other Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern on WDJY 99.1 FM, WTTA 101.2 FM, or Talk10FM.com. Also, download our app at uimediaapp.com to listen and watch all our shows anytime from anywhere in the world. We're also on Facebook, iTunes, iHeartRadio, and Spreaker as United Intentions. Have any parenting questions you'd like to ask Cheryl? Or maybe you'd like to say hello? Call 678-495-4345 and you'll have the chance to talk to her on air. Gather around, hold your loved ones close, and listen to the SoulFull family.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for the SoulFull family. I am your host, Cheryl Andrea, and today our subject is about love. But before we launch into our subject, I want to ask you as my listener to consider a couple of things. And then we'll begin our conversation today with our very special guest. I would like to invite those of you who are joining us today to consider that as seekers, as spiritual beings having human experiences, we are oftentimes seeking things that we don't even realize we're seeking. And what I have found in my own personal journey with working with thousands of clients over the last 25 years is that most of us are just seeking an inner peace, a knowledge of where we belong, who we are, and all of that together equates to a feeling inside of us that we describe, and I've heard many people call it this, home. They feel as if they are connecting to something greater and to home. And so inner peace seems to be on everyone's lips over the last maybe 10, 20 years, I've noticed. Talk about mindfulness and meditation, ways of finding balance and harmony in our lives. And overall, we keep coming back to the same conversation about inner peace. And so it intrigued me. And as life does, it unfolds in a very beautiful and organic way, oftentimes very divinely guided, that we're aware anyway that it's divinely guided. And what I found was I was gifted a course of love, and it changed a lot of my own personal perceptions of who I am and how I am experiencing myself. And maybe it wasn't that it changed it. I should correct that. It really wasn't that it changed it. It reminded me of who I really am. And that is a better, more appropriate way of saying it. So I started on this journey about a year ago with A Course of Love. And like I said, it has really assisted me on my personal journey. And it intrigued me to the degree that I reached out to the first receiver, Mari Perrin, who received A Course of Love many years ago, and we began a conversation via email. Well, lo and behold, I started asking some other questions, and Spirit provided me with a very special guest who I'm going to introduce because she is the one who Spirit sees as the appropriate speaker for today's conversation. And I feel very honored that she has found her way to our show today. Let me tell you a little bit about who will be joining the conversation. Her name is Christina Strutt. She was born in Malaysia, but she grew up in egalitarian Singapore, already an interesting life, right? She lived and worked in England for 10 years and then moved to the US in 1980. So she's already been around the world before 1980. I think this is amazing. What a great journey. She enjoys sharing her practical experiences distilled from 45 years of systems engineering and systems thinking, which includes 27 years living A Course in Miracles and 10 living A Course of Love. So Christina, I'm going to welcome you onto the show now. I really thank you for your time today. I'm very excited to have a conversation with you. So, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes, absolutely. It's a real joy. As I was speaking right before I brought you on air, I was thinking about my own journey as I shared with our listeners. And it was only a year ago that A Course of Love came to me. And I say it really came to me, it was gifted to me. And it was right at a time in my personal evolution in A Course in Miracles that I was asking some really relevant questions. And then this appeared for me. So I have a very limited practice. It's only been a year. However, I'm very intrigued to ask a bunch of questions, and I'm sharing this part of my story with you and our listeners because I want them to feel comfortable with not knowing a lot about it and asking questions themselves if they want to join us by calling in, if they want to text us or message us on Facebook. Certainly welcome to do that and ask their questions. But Christina, before we go into a lot about A Course of Love, I want to ask you your journey. How did you come to A Course of Love? I know you spent 27 years living A Course in Miracles. How did you come across A Course of Love?
Pretty much the way you described it. Spirit moves and, things just happen. So first I want to say that I'm really glad to be here and I hope I can answer the questions asked. And also to say that linear time is pretty meaningless. It's what you do with it. So 1 year with A Course of Love can be worth, for one person, 10 years or more, 20 years for someone else.
Thank you for saying that.
So it's really, at this time especially, quantum time is, everything is present here and now, simply waiting to be discovered. So.
You just said something really important, quantum time, because that is something that is really a part of our conversation now. The quantum sciences and quantum time and understanding that time is part of the illusion. So you're right. Thank you for pointing that out and for being so gracious about my 1 year. Yes, very much so. But that also gives our listeners permission.
Absolutely.
To see and to practice. I liken A Course of Love to my yoga practice because I do get on the mat and I am mindful on the mat that I'm practicing, that I give myself a space of compassion to practice it. And so perhaps as people are listening today, they can be compassionate with themselves and practice. Yeah. So how did you come across this?
Well, definitely A Course in Miracles was really important in my life because prior to coming across it, I was systems engineering, systems thinking, and then, which means I'm already looking at relationships between things and looking at the whole. So A Course in Miracles showed up thanks to Marianne Williamson. And after working with that for many years, I got to a stage where I felt kind of stuck. My mind was in charge still, and it was like I'm doing all these lessons over and over again, and I wasn't making any progress. That's not to say other people had the same experience with A Course in Miracles. I was a particularly hard nut to crack. So that's the other way of looking at 10 years or 27 years or whatever. Is you're a slow learner, you're really a hard one, and that's, I think, the case for me. So what happened was for years and years, I've subscribed to John Mundy's magazine, The Miracles magazine, and it was in December of 2008, the December-January issue or something like that, Mari had an article in his magazine. And I read that article. And just so the context, a couple of years before that, I had found myself unable to read. I'd stopped reading A Course in Miracles. I had stopped doing the workbook lessons. And I believe maybe a couple of months before this article was in the magazine, I had picked it up one more time and said, I'm going to do the workbook lessons one more time. And if that doesn't work, I'm done. And I hadn't gotten very far, obviously. It was only 2 months. It was only a number of lessons, but opened me up enough, obviously. And the magazine showed up and I read the article. And I was intrigued with Mari talking about her need for solitude. And her husband had built her a cabin and she just desired so much to be in that space on her own. But she was a mother, a grandmother, a wife, a friend, a community member. There were so many things pulling on her. I was in exactly the same place. So that's how I heard about A Course of Love, because I wrote to her with the question about solitude. And we started exchanging emails about Thomas Merton and so on, and solitude, and that's where it began. And of course, I got the book and began reading. At the time, it was published in 3 volumes. She was self-publishing, I think. Since then, it's been published in a beautiful single volume. You have a copy there? Great. I have mine too.
Right here. And I do want our listeners to see that, because this is the course, the treatises, and the dialogues.
Right.
So this is really beautiful, and it is beautifully published.
It is beautifully done. Mine's a soft copy and it's a little bit worn, but it's a beautiful book. Take Heart Publications published it, and go to their website to find out anything you want to know, acourseoflove.org. That's easy to remember.
Perfect. Thank you. Yes. Thank you for mentioning that. And I do have some URLs I'll give toward the end of the show so that our listeners will have those also. And we will post those on Facebook posts also. Great. So yes, definitely.
So that's how I found it. Yeah.
That is a fascinating story. And I love that. I love that Mari listened to her own need. I think that's something that we are really learning to do more and more in our society. This is where the conversations of meditation and mindfulness come in. And I love that she honored that for herself, and look what it produced.
Right. I mean, very much so. I mean, Mari was working, I believe it was at the University of Minnesota for many years. And there's a whole backstory to that, which you can read in the beginning of A Course of Love. But essentially, she had received the message very clearly. I can't remember if it was in a dream or a clearer, a waking message, that she could no longer sell her mind for money. So she had quit her job.
Yeah.
And 9 months later, she still didn't quite know what. It's funny, she didn't know what it was, but I remember telling me and others that she went to church a lot because she thought it'd be easier for God to find her at church. Because she knew there was something she had to do for God. Anyway, 9 months, and that's interesting too. A sort of just
that is very interesting. Yes. It was 9 months.
She began receiving A Course of Love. Yeah.
And that. Okay, so now I just received goosebumps, and that's a very strong indication of something very powerful in that message that you just delivered. Something about that is really important in the sense that she listened to her own internal need for that solitude, and she honored herself. She remained connected, right, on a diligent and consistent basis. And this is what we've spoken of on other prior shows for my listeners who have listened to other shows. We've talked about the need to care for ourselves. And that is what I get from this, from A Course of Love, is the care. So what Mari, in my very humble opinion here, what Mari has been able to do here is set an example of how to align self and what type of an experience might occur for one that is aligned.
Right.
That can help others and serve.
Absolutely. Right? Yeah. And it's important also that Mari, definitely Jesus refers to her as the first receiver, but he's also very clear that everyone who receives the word is also equally a receiver. Equally.
I love that.
And that's really important. There's no more hierarchy. We're all in a net, a web of relationship, each one equal to the other, uniquely different and the same.
I love that you bring that up. And that is a very important thing for people to realize, is that it's like I say in my work for intuition. All of us have an intuitive system.
Right.
So I'm not unique and I'm not special. I don't have a special gift. It's simply that I'm aligned with it, and therefore I'm able to do it, and I've exercised it. So I've practiced it. Right. So in a similar way, Mari was first receiver, but all of us have the ability to connect with and yes. So when we're about to take a quick commercial break, our first commercial, but when we do return, I would like to ask you a few questions about what A Course of Love is. What do you describe A Course of Love, or how do you describe it for our listeners? So we want to talk about that. And then from there, I would like to know a little bit of the specifics on some of the more finer details. Okay. Does that make sense? Sure. So stay with us. I want our friends at WDJY 99.1 FM and our friends at WTTA 101.2 FM in Kentucky and Ohio. Stay with us. We'll be back in just a moment.
Monica Bay here, also known as the Healer in Heels, and I am so excited to bring to you a rare opportunity to experience a dynamic healing in person with me. I am here at Batch, where we are going to hold this event, and it is going to be amazing. During this 2-hour group healing, I am going to remove all those things that are holding you back in life, and then I'm going to set your energy to be in alignment for achieving your goals. I am a natural-born energy healer and psychic medium who has developed my gifts and magnified them over the past 25 years. This is a rare opportunity and space is limited. Hurry and get your tickets at the link below because this event is sure to sell out. Get ready to go on a journey of transformation, and I will see you there.
Welcome back to the SoulFull family. I am Cheryl Andrea, your host, and my very special guest today is Christina Strutt, and I want to welcome you again. So,
thank you.
Before we went to commercial break, we began just barely to talk about A Course of Love. And of course, you shared with us your experience and how you came to become familiar with it. How do you describe? I want to know, when you share with someone for the first time, what do you tell them A Course of Love is? Like, maybe that's a good place to start. because I know there will be people listening today that aren't familiar yet, you know? So how do you describe it?
Well, it's kind of a hard one. Maybe I'll just say one thing about what it did for me.
Yes.
It brought me more into my heart. So that's not to say the mind isn't important, but it kind of melted my mind into my heart. And there was a healing there. And I believe the word in A Course of Love is wholehearted. So I operate more in a wholehearted manner, where, yes, my mind is very, very much intellectual and thinking, but it's not in charge.
Very well said.
This is in charge right here. And so A Course of Love reminds us that we are pure love in form. It reminds us of our identity as a being in union and relationship. So we're unique and we're connected and we're one with everyone and the whole. So that's a reminder. And it's laid out in 3 parts. And it's really a book that you kind of have to receive in the flow that Mari received it. You can jump around, of course, anybody can do whatever they choose, but it's designed to take you through reminding you who you are, who your identity is, what your identity is. That's the beginning, the Course of Love. Then there's the treatises which tell you how you apply it.
The instructions, you could say.
And more, more treatises about different things. And then you get to the dialogues, which is about how you are going to carry this with you. And that gets quite interesting because you're talking about carrying, meaning you're accompanying, you are, carrying, and you are supporting this movement. You're in a movement. And so that includes the body. So it isn't just mind and heart, but it's also the body transformed.
The physical, yes.
The physical. So, I think that would be the simplest way.
And that's beautifully said. Thank you. I love the way you explain that. It is, and it really coalesces or coincides with my thought of it being a yogic styled practice, you could say, where you're, and I know I'm kind of crossing a little bit of here, but it's the practice of it. It's the mindfulness. And I love.
And nothing is left out because that's the wholeness.
Right.
You can't leave your body out. It's all part of the being in union and relationship that we are. If I can have 3 minutes, we can take a couple of breaths and kind of feel into that even.
Right. I would love
Would you love to do that? Okay, let's do it.
Yes,
let's do it quickly. All right. So, I can do it in many breaths, but let's just do 3. Okay.
Okay.
So wherever you are, everyone who's listening, just sit comfortably, sit upright, just relax. We're just going to take 3 deep breaths and breathe in between too. If I keep talking, you need to breathe. But with the first breath, deep breath in. And as you breathe out, melt your mind into your heart. You can put your hand on your chest and sort of tap the top of your chest, your breastbone there. And let your mind kind of melt into that place, into your heart, and feel the two commingling, and becoming one in wholeheartedness. And then when you take another in-breath, just feel yourself expand a little bit out. So you're more than just the boundaries of your body. And as you breathe in, now drop the golden cord of your heart down into your belly and beyond, and feel it going all the way to the root, all the way rooted into the core of the earth. Think of Mother Earth, think of Gaia, which is now being referred to as Sophia Gaia, the wisdom of earth. And feel that solid rooting as a human being that you are. You are fully human, beautifully and fully human, and grounded, strong, and rooted in the core of the earth. Now take another deep breath and spiral that up through your body, through your heart, through your head, out through the crown of your head, and all the way up beyond the galaxy, beyond the universe, to pure source consciousness, to pure intelligence, God, whatever you choose to call it, all the way there, and feel that clarity and that diamond crystalline brilliance. And then with a big in-breath, bring that back down into your heart. And as you exhale, feel yourself expand even more. Feel that expansion touching Cheryl, touching me, touching all our technology people at UI Technologies Media, all the people listening right now, and all the people going to be listening later. And just kind of hang out with that feeling, that melting oneness feeling, because that's who we really are. Pure love and light in a body, expressing through form. That's who we are. All of it. No one and nothing left out. And come back. Thank you.
Oh, Christina, that was beautiful. Do you know, I literally felt my breath expand probably 3 times what the first deep breath was. By the time we got to the third breath, that was beautiful. Thank you very much for taking us on that little journey. You're right. You do touch into that and you do feel it and that connectedness.
Right.
That's beautiful. And that is love. Yes.
That is who we are.
Yes.
Powerful co-creators together.
Yes. Yes, that's really beautiful. So A Course of Love is similarly done in its style as A Course in Miracles. Slightly packaged similarly. It's a practice daily. But it's not about the mind body as much as it is about the heart body.
Mind, heart, body. It's all.
Right? Right? It's sort of the whole body, the wholeness, that the wholeheartedness. It's taking us back to the root, to the seat of who we are. I want to read one little thing out of here because it's what love is. And I love this particular passage. And it speaks to what you just shared with us. What love is cannot be taught. It cannot be learned, but it can be recognized. Can you pass love by and not know that it is there? Oh, yes. You do it constantly by choosing to see illusion rather than the truth. You cannot be taught love, but you can be taught to see love where it already exists. And that is what you just led us through. I really appreciate that. So our audience is able to experience what A Course of Love is in just a quick snippet like that. And that was just one little paragraph in this beautiful book. So yes, I encourage anyone who is very interested in what you have experienced thus far, or if your curiosity is piqued, it's what the book looks like. It comes in hardcover or soft. And I really do encourage you, take the journey, see what you discover for yourself, because it is an experiential experience, right? It's very personal.
Right. Yes. And that's why I think it's the receiving part is really important. And you can also get it on audio. Mari has read the book itself, so you can get it if you prefer to listen. There's
I
audio
didn't realize
as well.
that.
You can, but book and audio, both depending, where you are, could work for you. But the important thing is to allow it to flow through you and not think about it. If you don't try to think and analyze and understand, because that's the whole point of this, is to move us away from the mind that wants to split things up so they can understand it, it was the philosopher Rene Descartes, whatever century he lived in. He has a lot to answer for, because he taught us that the way to deal with complexity is to break it up into component pieces and examine the pieces, and break that up some more and examine those pieces. And then when you understand all the pieces, you understand everything. Well, no.
It doesn't work that way.
You forget the relationships.
That's
and
it.
The whole is greater than the sum of the parts. So you do understand each part, but when you put it all back together, you're missing the whole relationship part.
I call that critical thinking. Is that what we're talking about? The ability to
critical thinking. Just the way we're all taught, the entire culture, the schooling system, everything is about breaking it all down.
Right.
I mean, you only have to go to your doctors to know how your body has been broken down, and no one knows what happens in between. And when you need help in the in between, it's not there.
Right. And that is very metaphoric for what we've been experiencing as a culture worldwide.
Yes.
Humanity has been experiencing that. I love that point you're
making.
The
good news part is that we've been in a 25, 30-year transition period between the ages, the age of Pisces, which to me represents the split, the duality of the two. Right. But we're about to really settle deeply into the age of Aquarius, which is flow, oneness, the water.
Yes.
I mean, in Course of Love, there's a beautiful line. I've always loved it from the beginning that says, we become as clear pools flowing into each other.
Oh.
That is who we are, just if you think about that.
Oh, yes.
Right here, you were saying to me, so what's your title? What are you going to call yourself?
Right.
Nothing. I don't have a title. I'm a co-creator, but so are you.
Right.
We are co-creating this space right now together. With our technicians at UI Media, with all the people who are listening, because we are one on this network. And this is a field. And I want to take a second and describe a very simple metaphor that I come to use. In fact, it landed for me about a year ago. And it's a metaphor that is from the ancient Indian Vedas. It's 4,500 years old. It comes from the Atharva Veda, and it's Indra's net of jewels. It's a metaphor for how the great god Indra, created the universe and the multiverse. With his skill, he hung this net of jewels in every direction, in every dimension, limitless, multidimensional net. And at every node in the net, he hung this jewel. A multifaceted jewel that was cut so beautifully and so brilliantly, it reflected every other jewel in the net. And that is the universe. And we are jewels in that net. We are unique jewels, expressing uniquely, depending on our facets. We are also each other. We are the connections between each other, and we are the whole net itself. So that's a very easy metaphor to think about for being one. And unique. So you're differentiated and within the whole. It's both and.
Ooh, and I like that, because it is both and, as you said. It's because we are moving away from that idea of being logically minded and linearly focused with time and reasoning and the mental body and the ego that comes with the mental body. And of course, as we're speaking about wholeheartedness and recognizing that A Course of Love gifts us the practice of returning to that wholeheartedness.
Right.
That's really the beauty I see in this practice.
Right.
And
it's not to judge thinking at all. It has its place.
No, it does have its place.
It has its place, but it's not in the lead. The logic of the heart is in the lead. The logic of the heart, once you've melted your mind into your heart, there is a logic that's nonlinear. It's multidimensional logic that senses beyond the body's senses and knows. Because if we are the field, we are the field.
Yes, that's exactly right.
There is so much more that we really know that if we start to analyze all the pieces with our mind alone, we wouldn't have. So A Course of Love really takes us on a journey to heal, first of all, here. Here, heart and mind healed and body joins. And from here, all else is healed.
So we're about to take our second commercial at the halfway point of our show today. When we return, I want to ask you a few questions about that journey that you've had and how it's really become a part of your way of life. Okay. Because I know that there is a little bit of that melding that you're speaking of that you shared with me before we started the show today. And I want to talk about that just briefly. So stay with us, everyone. We will be back after just a very brief commercial break. I am Cheryl Andrea, and you are listening to the SoulFull Family.
This is Kurt Arsenault of Arsenault Advisory Group. Most of us never think we'll get divorced. Unfortunately, half of marriages will end in divorce. Children are always the first priority, but getting your finances in order will need to be addressed. The first step is to get an assessment of where you are financially. Will you keep your home? Do one or both of you have a 401k or pension? Who will pay for the kids' college education? Will you split your debt liabilities? These are just a few things to consider when thinking about divorce. Visit arsenaultadvisory.com and download our free ebook titled 6 Things to Do Before You Get Divorced. Don't wait. Visit arsenaultadvisory.com today.
Welcome back to the SoulFull Family. I am Cheryl Andrea, your host, and with me today is Christina Strutt, and we are having a wonderful conversation about A Course of Love. I'm going to hold the book up again. It's right here, and it is a 3-part book, so it's the combined volume, the course, the treatises, and the dialogues, and it's really a remarkable book. It's more than I could even put into words. I kind of go speechless. That's why I asked you, how do you describe it? I wasn't going to do a very good job of it.
Well, I might go speechless too.
I mean, it's just sort of that feeling. It's hard to describe.
It is. And I mean, it's not been a very pretty 10 years, put it that way. And that's why I said, I think I'm a hard nut to crack. I don't want to put anybody off, but in order for this to happen, there's a lot that we have collected and hung on to that needs to be, I used to say cleared, but I understand more in late years that it's more transmuted or transformed, because everything is energy.
Yes.
We're energy. We're light energy. We're love energy. Nothing goes away. So, but it's about feeling and transmuting stuff. So, I tried to kind of pull out 2 or 3 things that I think are really important. First of all, the experience is I have to be willing. And I think I was so willing because I was really at the end of my tether when I wrote to Mari. And so there is a willingness, that just a little willingness that's needed, for people to pick up a book like this. And then be willing to move into whatever comes next, trusting that it is. And Mari used to call it, I don't know if she still does, but there's a sort of a honeymoon period when you first start reading and thinking, oh my God, I'm loved. This is so wonderful. Oh, how lovely, And then, things start to come up, to be clear.
Process,
to be transmuted, right.
Right.
In fact, somewhere in the Course of Love, it talks about feelings that you haven't felt. They're all about feelings. So we got to come back to feelings in a second. Willingness is one thing, feelings. So help me remember that. We've got to come back to those 2 very important things.
Yes.
But it says something about things that you have shelved, like museum pieces that need to be looked at. And that isn't pretty necessarily.
No, I agree with you on that. I think that's where I think that there is, when you speak of willingness, I agree with you. You must be willing to open. When we get to that place where things begin to come up, oftentimes what I find is that's when I begin to work with a client, is when they become challenged by, I don't want to do this. I don't like what's happening. I don't like how this is showing up. And they're putting a lot of preferences and a lot of resistant energy against it, making it right or wrong or good or bad and all these shits. And that's where I think we start to go off course.
Right.
I see how, yes.
Exactly. And I think I felt certainly after, 20 odd years of working with A Course in Miracles, it was like, WTF, what?
Right.
Haven't I done the work? What more do I need to do? So actually, I think it'd be a good point. I found this page. I wanted to read this bit about what willingness is.
Yes.
And
yes, please.
I love this bit because it's in the first book, and it says, what willingness is it that you are asked to give? And it says, it is a willingness to receive love from your source and to be loved for who you are. Is this so much to ask? I love that Jesus gets a little snarky there, you know.
Yeah.
Is this too much to ask? So that's the important thing. It's willingness in that way, just being open, allowing, you know, everything you know doesn't have to go away, but just be open to more. So that's the other important thing when we talk about, you know, the Bible, Course in Miracles, Course of Love, I mean, any other spiritual path. Right. Nothing was unimportant. Everything is perfectly positioned and important. And this is more. Mm-hmm. And in the end of working with A Course of Love, you realize that is what life is love, expressing love endlessly and effortlessly, expressing love in form and in whatever way we choose to express it, because we can't not express it.
Right.
We remember
it's our
who
beingness.
We are. Exactly.
That's right. It is who we are, and it's our beingness. But we can forget that, which is what we see the evidence of every day when we forget that. Right. And that's where I come to you and I say, it's a practice. Yes. You know, it's a remembrance every day. It's a choice to remember in each moment. Right. And that's what this helps me with. Yes. And it's a remembering that happens when we melt our minds into our hearts and live from this place. It's not a remembering in the way of having lessons to work every day. In fact, there's only one lesson. And it's, let me see if I can quickly find it here. Thank you for that clarification while you're looking for that, because that is a good distinction. Right. Because otherwise you're still engaging the mind constantly. And I was meaning what you're describing. So thank you for clarifying that. That's really important. Thanks for catching that. So it says the first and only exercise for your mind within this course is dedicate your thought to union. When senseless thoughts fill your mind, when resentments arise, when worry comes, repeat the thought that comes to your open heart and clear your mind. I dedicate all thought to union. As often as you need to replace senseless thoughts, think of this and say it to yourself. Not once, but 100 times a day. And you asked me about my journey. There were many times when I didn't sleep at night. There were, you know, all kinds of traumatic situations that I was in. And I remember this was the one thing that would, you know, just go through my entire body. I dedicate all thought to union. I dedicate all thought to union over and over and over. I love that. I've not heard it put that way until A Course of Love, where it's about the word union. They'll say oneness, you know, or source, or, you know, right. Union, but union puts a different level of meaning to me anyway. My definition of union, it sounds like coming back together. It sounds like emerging, like those clear pools. When we all reunion, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So I love the way that is phrased. So then you began to come up against some of your own work. And this might be true for any of us, which most of us going through any of these, we're going to come up with some of this. How did you handle that? You just kept going back to that same thought? Well, because you had willingness. I can't count how many times I've been through the entire book over the last 11 years, but going back to it in that way. Also, so I should add, actually, see, it's like you kind of don't remember stuff. Right. I mean, in the third book, the dialogues, there is a 40 days and 40 nights where you're taken on a journey in 40 days up the mountain, so to speak, and then back down into the world. But the important thing to remember is that our classroom is the life we're in right now. Yes. That is the beauty of it. Yes. And that's kind of really appealed to me, because that's the way I've lived my life, you know, my whole life. If you give me a book to read, any kind of book, you know, a spiritual book, a self-help book, if I can't apply it tomorrow morning when I get up and go to work, or I get my kids out of bed to go to school or whatever, it's meaningless to me. I've got to be able to apply it. So that's where, you know, Jesus is very clear in The Course of Love that this is not about removing you from your life. This is about life as it is. And so that I went back to the workbook 40 days many times over the years.
many, many, many times.
So when you take that approach, and I'm intrigued by that because that makes sense to me. When you go back to that space and you consider that life itself is what this is about, right? That, it's our beingness, and it's the every moment of our experience that we're having, that we are on some level, we're choosing how we're being, if we're conscious of that or not, right? In many shades of that. Then it stands in my mind, I'm just sort of playing with this out loud here. It stands to reason in my mind then, and I am going to my mind here for processing, but I'm thinking that there's something here that I'm putting my finger on of the organicness. So there's no have to, there's no requirements, there's no end game, there's no arrival at a destination, there's no completion of it. It's actually the mirroring of our experiences back to us. So for me, I'm wondering here, I'm kind of applying it. Like I said, I'm talking out loud here, I'm processing something. A Course of Love then could be, would you say, could it be sort of the empty container that we then fill by our co-creations? Do you see what I'm pointing out there? Like this itself as a practice. Is it a container, an empty space? Like we each come into it with our own lives.
Certainly, our lives are
individual, unique.
Absolutely unique. Yes.
We're all different facets of those jewels, like you were describing.
Right.
So how is it then? Because to me, it feels almost like A Course of Love would be a container. The message itself would be a container that we get to play with and apply.
Well, I wouldn't call it a container. It sort of embraces you for sure. You feel held. You feel like you're coming home. As
maybe that's what I'm putting my fingers on.
I think maybe what you're saying is that you feel joined with the words as you read them.
I feel love.
You feel loved, exactly.
I do.
So it's not a container. It's like you're really melding with the words themselves, and that the new agey people would call it light encoded. I really feel the words in this book are light encoded.
Now
they have power.
You're speaking my language as a psychic. Yes, absolutely.
Definitely light encoded.
Definitely.
Right. There's an energy around all of it.
Okay.
And that was sort of true in A Course in Miracles too, but this book is much more accessible. There's really no comparison in terms of the language because this is so contemporary.
It is very contemporary.
Miracles is very lyrical and more biblical.
Yes.
And iambic pentameter and all of that. This is like, you'll find the word checkbook in it. You'll find the word peas in it. You'll find the word, I don't know, sunset. There's all kinds of ordinary life stuff.
Yes.
Know?
Yes.
And yet it is profound. It has an energy to it.
And that's a very good point you're making there too, because it is everyday feeling. It does have an everyday feeling to it. It's very tangible. So as new listeners or, people who may not yet be familiar with this, A Course of Love, as they sort of wrap their head around what it is, this is a good description. It's an everyday. It's friendly. It's easy to read. It doesn't. It's not archaic feeling.
No, and it's immediately applicable. So we talk about willingness.
Yes.
And in what I do with my expression of it, I talk about willingness, curiosity, and playfulness. Playful. So those are the three important things to me. Because even when things are really shitty, pardon my French.
That's okay.
You can still remember who you are.
Yes.
And be fully in that experience with a degree of curiosity and playfulness. So that comes, but I'm saying that can be practiced from the beginning.
Okay. So that's really important. It's willingness, curiosity, and playfulness.
That's right.
That's very interesting. I sort of organically have come to two of those three words for myself. Let's talk a little bit more about that after our commercial break. We have to take our final commercial break in just a moment. But before we go to break, I want to invite those of you who are listening. Do you want to be a radio host or do you have a message to share? Email contact@uimedianetwork.org to learn more about that. And stay with us. We're going to take our final break. Don't go anywhere. We still have quite a bit of conversation to have. And it's Christina Strutt with me today. We're talking about A Course of Love. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Amy.
And I'm Gina from In the Burbs, where we talk about marriage, divorce, empty nest, and all the rest.
Basically, everything from motherhood to menopause.
The show is packed with experts, games, headlines, comedic guests, and much more.
We would love to hear your mom confessions, dating deal breakers, and the no shame hashtag game, where we take a humorous look at life's failures and fiascos.
We're in this together. We would like you to join us every other Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern on the UI Media Network. Catch us live on uimediaapps.com, WDJY 99.1 FM, WTTA 101.2 FM, Facebook Live on United Intentions, Spreaker, and many other platforms.
You can also watch us on YouTube, Binge Networks TV, and listen wherever you find your favorite podcasts.
If you want to connect with us, call us live at 678-495-4345.
Or comment on our Facebook page, In the Burbs.
There is life outside the city.
Well, welcome back to the SoulFull family. I'm Cheryl Andrea, your co-host, and our guest today is Christina Strutt, and we are talking about A Course of Love. Again, here is the book. I have the hard copy, and you have the soft, well-worn copy, as you pointed out.
Right.
That just shows you how much you love it. Before we went to break, you were sharing some really beautiful pieces there. Willingness, curiosity, and playfulness. Now, I've come across two of those words that I really use quite a lot, and that is curiosity and playfulness. Those are two words that have been really on my radar for the last year or two. Willingness, I consider myself very willing all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I show up in the moment and I say yes because I'm guided and I trust that process and my faith is real strong. Willingness hasn't been one of my words so much, but I like the three together.
Mm-hmm.
Those three words together really feel complete.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And it kind of is relevant to, you were talking about, that's when you see your clients is when they hit the hard stuff.
Yes.
So it's really, if we might talk about feelings, if this is a good time to talk about
perfect
feelings.
time. Perfect time.
Because I think that is when the willingness is needed, because we live in a culture where everything is being evaluated, good and bad, better or worse, sick or healthy. And, it's sort of interesting how I see people on television or whatever. If there's been a fire and houses burned down and theirs didn't, they'll say, I'm so blessed, God was with me today. But the real thing would be to be able to say that as you watch your own house burn down. And that's the kind of willingness we're talking about.
Yeah.
Not to judge anything.
To trust that process.
But in order to do that, we have to feel our feelings. And one of the biggest, I think, heart-opening things for me with A Course of Love was coming to understand that I'm not being asked to accept that my house burned down, but I'm asked to accept how I'm feeling about my house.
Aha.
And all those things I said about those museum pieces that were shelved, they're all feelings that I didn't process, that I thought I shouldn't feel, or that I thought were wrong to feel. Or I was too afraid to feel them. Yes, and they were squashed and repressed. Or were still put out in the world in a destructive ways. So feeling, that's really, really important. I think that's probably the biggest, that's why I talk about opening up the heart for me.
Right.
Is that feeling is equal to thinking, if not embraces thinking. So the logic of the heart feels and senses in a way that pure linear logic doesn't. It's a multidimensional logic, but feeling. So, and Jesus talks about there being two emotions, which are your response to feelings. You either love and embrace your feelings and you welcome them and you hold them tenderly and you hold yourself as you weep, or if you're in pain, or if you're raging, angry at someone, you embrace that. You don't squash it. You don't throw it out at somebody else. You just
or judge it.
You maybe have it, someone witnesses it, you be with someone, some safe place, and feel your feelings. And that is the hardest part.
Mm-hmm.
That is the hardest part. We want to run away from our feelings.
It's so intriguing though, because the playfulness could really assist us in being capable of processing those old shelved feelings. Because think about this, until we are about 5, we do express it. We do have a meltdown when we're feeling it. It's very organic.
Right. Yes.
I love that about children.
Yes.
They let it rip. I mean, it's what it is.
And then it's done.
And then it's done. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we could take a real cue from them, from that youthful, playful childlikeness of the innocence of not having preferences or judgments yet. Because that's really what's happening, right?
The problem is, try doing that when you're at work somewhere, when you get mad about something.
Oh, I know. I didn't say it was easy.
I know. That's what happens. So that's really hard. I mean, I think feeling it and not making yourself wrong for feeling it, and finding safe ways to feel everything.
Yes.
That's the important place, is starting in there and recognizing that those feelings are not to be feared. They're not to be judged. There are no good feelings. There are no bad feelings. There simply are feelings, and they are messengers literally coming from the body, to you, that there's something there that needs to be loved, and to love it and not fear it. So that's huge, and it can be said in 10 seconds, but it's taken me 10 years to feel everything and allow it to come up, because you can't go back in the past to heal these unfelt feelings.
No.
What happens is you get sent experiences in the present that bring up whatever it is. And if you are willing and you're curious and you're able to nurture yourself well enough, then we can feel them, and they dissipate and become the pure energy of love that we are, because that's all they are.
Because what we're doing in those moments is we're becoming alchemists, and we're transforming a lower frequency that doesn't serve us anymore, something that was an error of our thought, right? Our story. And so we're cleaning it up, you could say, in the present.
And then, the energy comes home. That's union. You're remembering.
Right.
And that's how your power comes back, fully unified, as the...
It's almost like taking our clothes off, it's sort of like taking off this belief and taking off that belief and letting go of this preference or that judgment or this grievance, right?
And allowing the wholeness of who you are to shine through.
Right.
And it can be a painful, process. So I
how
think
do
there's
you
a lot
deal
of,
with that?
well, one thing not to do, I will say, is do what I've witnessed, and I've done it myself. and sometimes people get stuck there, actually, which is, in shorthand, I've heard it called the spiritual bypass.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Which is like, well, I'm just going to pick this up and read a quote and make myself feel better. No, it's not. It's not like that.
No,
we're fully human and we're fully divine.
Right.
So, feeling everything, and I would say the other big word for me is compassion.
Mm-hmm.
Compassion, and in fact, the thing that this is so interesting to me, that I first encountered the word or the phrase, strongly. It was in A Course of Love, that here we are as expressions of Christ consciousness. And really what it's all about is Jesus saying to us, he's delivering the same message he delivered 2,000 years ago, which
that's exactly
was
right.
not quite received the way he'd hoped, except in a few people who have not made it into the forefront, like Mary Magdalene and so on. But that's another show. So
we could talk about that.
Oh yeah. But what he says in A Course of Love is something like, my one example life could not sustain Christ consciousness. Mm-hmm. And I call upon you in your multitude. You see, this is the beautiful thing about it. I'm not home till you're home, and every single one of us is home. And every single little piece of work we do, feeling our feelings, clearing those dusty museum pieces, remembering who we are, we're doing for everyone. We're doing it, and all of it goes out in the field. So he says, in your multitude, to sustain Christ consciousness on the
Yes.
earth, and so create a new earth. And it's so exciting that we're
Yes.
doing this show. This is why I said yes, even though I had about 2 minutes notice. Thank you.
Yes. Because you're willing.
Now, because we're in this passage from the solstice through next weekend of the lunar eclipse.
Yes.
It's a crazy time.
It is
You know,
profoundly perfect.
crazy. And it's
Yeah.
the perfect time to do this, to say to
Yes.
people, whatever works for you, now's the time.
That's
If you
right.
haven't, listen in. So just
Yes.
do the breathing, listen in, feel. You
And
know.
thank you.
And the tipping point was well reached for all the people who
Oh,
have
absolutely.
struggled for decades, lifetimes, whatever it is. The ground is prepared. Anyone who's willing and curious, and you can be playful, because it's going to be easy. You know, it's going to be easy for anyone stepping on this. So if you go out and get A Course of Love and just receive it, don't think about it, just read it, receive it.
Yes.
You could be done in a matter of days. You know, you could be there, feeling it. It's all about feeling it,
yes.
not analyzing it, but feeling it.
Yeah, feeling
And
it.
mind does work. I mean, just want to clarify one quick thing. I mean, the brain is really important. That's part of the body. Nothing
Sure.
is left out. But I do want to say that over the evolution, there's a neuroscientist, I can't remember his name, but he was at Johns Hopkins, and I've seen some of his presentation. He puts a picture up of the chimp and the ape and the, man beginning to stand upright and then going to modern day man. And at the top of the slide, he puts a picture of the brain, just a sketch of the brain, the hemispheres, and then in the middle is the corpus callosum, which is which has all the connections, and it literally translates to tough body. Well, he shows how from the ape to the present day man, that corpus callosum has shrunk in size while the hemispheres have grown, which means the connections have diminished.
Right.
And I wouldn't mind betting, as we do our work together and with the body and so on, that those connections are being remade. I know that sounds a little crazy, but
no, actually, I believe that is probably very much what is going on. Wow, you've just said things in those last couple of minutes that we could do 5 more shows on.
Oh yeah, easy.
I mean,
easy peasy.
You just like lit a fire under me. I just had like 4 more ideas. But here, to wrap up today's conversation before we run out of airtime, I really want to encourage our listeners, really get A Course of Love, experience it for yourself. I will be posting, once we finish our show, I'll be posting the website information for A Course of Love, for the Center for A Course of Love, and for Mari Perrin, who is the first receiver. That way, anyone who's listening now or in the future can reach out and find their way to the material.
And if you'd add to it, my Co-Creating Clarity, Indra's Net.
Absolutely.
You'll see 1 year's worth of writings about everyday experiences with a quote from A Course of Love.
That
with
is
the quote, the relevant quote from A Course of Love also.
Oh, I'm going today. I'm going as soon as I am going to be on that. No, Christina, thank you. Unfortunately, we are already out of time, and I just feel so blessed to have had this conversation. We do need to do this again.
I love that. Me too. Really, it was so much fun. Thank you. Thank you so much, Cheryl. And thank you to Mari for introducing us.
Very much so. Thank you, Mari. Very much want to thank all of you for listening. Have a really blessed day. Go get A Course of Love. You'll thank us later.
Thank you.
What a soulful experience. We hope you enjoyed this episode of the SoulFull family, addressing modern-day family dynamics from unique perspectives. We'll see you every other Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern on WDJY 99.1 FM, WTTA 101.2 FM, Talk10FM.com, Facebook, Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, and many other platforms. Bring greater self-awareness into daily living with Cheryl Andrea's advice and techniques. Follow us on social media on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at United Intentions, and on Twitter at Higher Intention. You can now watch and listen to all our shows anytime from anywhere in the world on our UI Media Smart app. Visit uimediaapp.com and keep up to date with Cheryl Andrea and the UI Media Network. Until then, be soulful. The United Intentions Foundation and its associates take no responsibility for the opinions and statements made by the talk show